Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of What to Drink at the Met. Today, we're going to talk about German Riesling and beyond. Germany is the 9th largest wine-producing country in the world, the 17th as far as liters drank per person. As most of us all know, Germans love their beer. They consume a little bit more beer than they do wine. The best vineyards of Germany lie as far north as the Champagne region of France. There's over 40 different grape varieties allowed in the country of Germany. Most of them are white grapes due to the cool region. And out of all of those whites, Riesling is king. German wines are made very similar to French wines as well, in essence that they possess little to no oak. They also go through hardly any malactic fermentation. The lees are stirred less while the fermentation is occurring. They're very transparent in terms of their look. They're aromatic and very fruity, and they also, on average, have a lower alcohol content than many Californian wines that many of us might be used to. Also, for German wines, there's a degree of sweetness. And what makes many German wines wonderful is that there is the perfect combination between sugar or sweetness and acidity. German style wines have changed since about the 1990s, when previous to that, Germany was producing a lot of very, very sweet wines. A newer avant-garde group of winemakers called Jungwinzers started changing the face of German wines. In fact, we have a few of those producers in front of us today. We have 3 wines that we're going to go over today: Dr. L, Max Ferdinand Richter Zeppelin, and the Weinreisen Ice Wine. Let's first talk about Dr. L. Dr. L was a top 100 winery of the year in 2012 by Wine Spectator. Most of the vines on there are 70 years old. What the winemakers do for Dr. L is that they restrict the crop size, which means that they oftentimes get a little bit more robustness from the grapes than from grapes that are produced on a utilizing mass production methods of farming. They also utilize cultivation methods that allow the hands of individuals to touch the grapes as little as possible. These wines from Dr. L, this Riesling in particular, you'll find has a minerality and a good fruitness to it, a little bit of grapefruit and peach, and it has a nice balance of acidity and dryness. And when you taste it at the end, you get a wonderful tingle on the tongue. It pairs very well with fresh ingredients, and for those of us that are just reaping the benefits of the bounty in our garden, this would pair wonderful with a lot of fresh herbs and vegetables you have from the garden, salty cheeses, and fish. The other type of food that this Riesling pairs well with is Asian or Asian fusion. And many of you may know in Lima we have a wonderful Thai restaurant called Thai Jasmine down on Pine Street. What we might suggest is that you would come in here first and grab a bottle of this Riesling and then bring it over there to enjoy some wonderful spicy Thai food. The low alcohol content and the acidity will allow you to enjoy not just one glass of wine with dinner, but also the sweetness and the acidity will combat some of the spiciness you might have when you're getting a wonderful curry dish over there on Pine Street. The second wine I'd like to go over is the Max Ferdinand Zeppelin. This wine was the wine that was most poured on transatlantic flights from Germany to the US for many, many years. So what makes this wine unique is it's the region from where it's grown, which is the Mosel region. The other thing that makes this wine unique is the fact that it has very steep southwest facing slopes, which allows for the rainfall to appropriately quench the vines and the roots' need for water, but at the same time drain off so the vines aren't getting over watered. Now, if you look at the bottle and you see Sonnenlei, you're like, well, maybe, what does that mean? So the Sonne means sunshine, and the Lei stands for slate. So what you're getting on these southwest facing slopes are vines that are inundated with sunshine and then fed by this wonderful slate soil from underneath. What you'll get from this wine is a little bit of apple, peach, and mineral. I enjoy it specifically as an aperitif. The final wine is an ice wine. Some of you may ask, well, what is an ice wine? Well, an ice wine is made from white grapes, picked while the grapes are actually covered with frost. It is a very popular drink in Nordic countries. And rumor has it, back in the 1830s, the Rheingau region, which is where this wine is from, was going through a famine. The farmers were worried about their livestock in terms of how to feed them, so they decided not to pick all the grapes during harvest, leaving some of the some of the grapes on the vines. Subsequently, that they harvested those grapes and fed them to the animals. And what they found is that there was such a concentration of sweetness that it might make a good wine, and that's what they did. So that style of winemaking has become very popular around the world, as I said, especially in the Nordic countries, as well as here in the Met. This wine in particular pairs very well with our hottest selling dessert, which is the Met birthday cake. So here, what we've gone over today are 3 German wines that can be drank before, during, and after a meal. Thank you for joining me for another edition of What to Drink at the Met, and here's to enjoying time and wine effectively.